Hello, Brandon.
Hello.
I feel like we do this once every few years.
We do. It's one of the staples of my yearly movies coming out. I get to go talk to you guys, so that's great.
Absolutely. And they're such great movies that we really enjoy talking to you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this year's festival and Puppetman.
The Puppetman, yeah.
Where did this idea come from?
I was actually approached. I was in post on Superhost, and one of the producers, Matt Mangiarides, he reached out just randomly. I'd never met him before, and he just sent me a few log lines for different ideas, and he said, "Hey, would you be interested in developing some of these for Shudder?" And I have such a good relationship with Shudder that I decided to take a look at them, and there was the Puppetman, that sounded pretty interesting to me, and so my brother and I, who we'd been looking for a project to work on together for a while, and we just sort of started talking about this, and we came up with some cool ideas about this character and her dad, and kind of taking a Final Destination approach with this, with having kids and taking what they like and what they do and turning it against them, and we just sort of, this thing kind of evolved out of that, and it was just kind of like a random cold call on Facebook and turned into all this.
And here we are.
Mm-hmm.
I love your films especially because there's a little bit of blood, there's a little bit of gore, maybe a jump scare here or there, but it's really psychological.
Cool.
So how do you get that infused into your script and then infused into the actors?
I think part of it, just comes from the fact that we never have any money, so you can't show anything. So you have to kind of think creatively, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, there is a specific death in this that I was most excited about when we were shooting. Has to do with lifting weights, and
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that a bit more. But it to me was just kind of like, I think a lot of cases, less is more. I mean, there's definitely a lot of gore and stuff that you can see in a lot of films, and that's kind of what it's about. It's about the gore, it's about the blood, but it's more about the characters and what they're going through. And that moment, I feel like the ending's really gross, but you don't need to show it to know what's going on. Like, I think the implied violence is more my style, in a way. It's just like, if you can build that tension. When I was doing that and I was talking to makeup people and all that stuff, I was citing American History X with the curb stomp, because in that film you don't really see it, like it cuts to the big wide when it actually happens,
right.
But the tension that you get from his teeth on the curb, and it's going to happen, it's just a matter of time. So that was kind of like the standard I wanted to sort of hit with that moment, is just sort of all the tension you can show in close detail, but the moment of truth that happens for him, I think being away and being removed and not really seeing it, kind of insinuating more than showing it, I just felt like it was more effective for me.
And I love that we were going back and forth between that and the fire.
Right.
Because I felt as though you were invested in both of them, and that one I wasn't quite sure if it was going to happen or not, till almost towards the end of it, and then I thought, oh yeah, this is going to happen. I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, that was also a cool one. I mean, it wasn't written to be that way. It was going to be one and then the other. So that was actually an editorial thing, which makes, all the sense in the world. Yeah. Because once one starts going, the other one's going to start going too. So, the first cut was like one and then the other, and this just made a lot more sense. But yeah, that was funny because we had basically about 15 minutes to shoot the entire sequence with the girl Anna that was playing Jo. Wow. Just because we started with her most extreme prosthetics first and then worked our way down, because it was faster to take it off than it was to apply. But smart. Well, it was smart in theory, but we the way it never works out the way you want. So it ended up just like leaving us with, literally, because we had a hard out because it was a university library. We could only be there until a specific time, and like you couldn't stay a minute after, because they were gracious enough to let us be there in the first place and shoot on their campus. So when we got to that point where we're like, we have no makeup on, we have to do the scene, all the tension, all that stuff, it was literally 15 minutes, and we were just like, go one take, move, one take. Wow. So there, editing that into what it is was really tricky because we didn't have the content to do it, so we had to be pretty creative there.
There you go. Guerrilla filmmaking. Right?
It's all a mess. It's just chaos.
It came out really great, though.
Cool, thank you.
It really, really did. Let's talk a little bit about the actress, Alison, who plays Michael. But she's fantastic. She's really good. So how did you come about getting her for the role?
So before Shudder would greenlight the film, they had to approve the lead actress. And so we put out a casting call. The producers put out a casting call, and she was either the first or the second person that read. And it was just nailed it. The audition tape was just like, oh, wow. Like, you've got this person that's just has whatever it is she has. She had it, and there was a lot of she just had to bring a lot to those interviews or those auditions. So it was just crazy to see it immediately. And I've had a lot of luck with casting, and casting leads like this. So I just had to trust my gut, like this is the one, And so we went with her, and she was phenomenal. Just did, super present, just always there. Anytime you give a note, it's just executed how you need it to be. But just hungry to do it again, hungry to learn, hungry to take notes, all that stuff. And so that was cool. And as for their names, everybody in the film, for the most part, was named after my childhood best friend's family. So the mother was actually Michael, and so that was where that came from.
I'm sure your childhood best friend and the family are pleased about that.
Yeah, they were thrilled. They were excited.
Alison was just great, and I agree. She's part of what makes the film so special and psychological.
Yeah,
because you just see her glaze over, and then you see her aware, but she's not necessarily aware.
Yeah, she was able to go there,
Yes.
when you need those big genre pop moments, like where you just need to go from 0 to 60 or further. She was just willing, and then willing to do it again and all that stuff. So it's, you're always looking for a lead actress that you can kind of bounce off of like that, and she was awesome.
Talk about Michael Perry.
He came out for I think 4 or 5 shooting days, and you bring in someone like that just sort of is that person, and they can kind of just jump in and out of these roles. It was really cool because he was just sort of incredibly present for it. Like he liked to talk about the character, he liked to talk about the script, which you never know because sometimes you get people that are just there for a paycheck or whatever. There's like they don't give they don't care at all.
Yeah.
But we would sit down at breakfast in the hotel because we were staying together, and we would just have these deep conversations about what his character was doing, what his character knew, all these things like that. That was really cool to kind of dive in because this guy's been in the business forever. Yeah. So you never know what you're going to expect, and then it was just super pleasant to work with, which you can't ask for more from someone like that. So Michael was great. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Well, I loved this film, and I've loved all your films that I've seen that have been here at the festival,
which
and
is
everything.
all of them.
Yeah, there you go. So what does it mean to again bring a movie to Popcorn Frights?
It's kind of funny. It's just like Shudder's kind of always been a part of my films, and Popcorn Frights has always been a part of my films. So it would feel weird to make a film and not be in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or wherever to showcase it. Because I kind of come here and I know some of the returning guests and stuff like that. Igor, Mark, Judith, Douglas. I see them every year or every other year now. Yep. So it just becomes. In an industry of a lot of people that are all busy doing their own things, it's nice to have these staples that you can come and just sort of like, it's like going home for family. You just sort of see them, you can hug them, you can have fun. It just becomes a very safe space to show your art because a lot of the times there's a lot of anxiety about showing strangers your work because you're putting your personal stamp on it. But you come here and they're just very enthusiastic about it. The fans are great. So I don't know. Popcorn's always just part of my sort of
We're all
career.
Part of the family now.
Exactly.
For Popcorn Frights. Thank you so much for your time today. I can't wait for people to see this because I thought it was excellent.
Awesome.
Really
Thank
excellent.
You.